Again, everybody. The festivities are going to begin, and I'm going to start. There'll be plenty of speeches, and as I say, there's no speech like a short speech. So the short speech is, I want to introduce a very good friend of mine, shares the same last name, the president of the Alumni Association, graduate of 1977, Angie Beto.
I don't know him. Good evening, everyone. I need to be taller. Can't get this. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Bethany College Alumni Association, I enthusiastically welcome you to the 2021 Homecoming Celebration and Alumni Awards Ceremony. Isn't it great that we're actually able to be on campus this year? I know. When I was driving here from Pittsburgh Airport, because I live in Dallas, I was overwhelmed with this sense of nostalgia. I'm sure many of you feel the same thing. We've walked through Ogilvy Gates so many times. Some of you haven't been back since graduation, so I welcome you. I'm always reminded of John Denver's song, Take Me Home, Country Roads. So anyone want to sing? That's not in my forte, but we're excited that you're here. I'm Angie Beto, class of 77, and I'm the current Alumni Council president. And our mission on Alumni Council is to engage and connect with the alumni and the college community. And part of that involves selecting and presenting the Alumni Awards. So tonight, we are awarding 2 different categories and 4 incredibly accomplished and deserving alumni. Choosing the recipients of the Alumni Awards is one of the most exciting and at the same time really challenging and tough aspects of serving on Alumni Council, because every year, it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to learn about so many of our accomplished and dedicated alums. And let me just say that every year we struggle because we are so impressed by all that every nominee has accomplished and achieved. We always make our decisions make our decisions very, very difficult because every nominee is so qualified. Aren't we fortunate that we have such established and accomplished alumni? So I want to begin the presentations with the recipients of the Alumni Achievement Award, recognizing the achievements and contribution to an alum's profession or field. We will be honoring the 3 recipients for this award this evening. And our first winner of the Distinguished Alumni Achievement is Cheryl Ryan Harshman, class of 74, nominated by her husband, Mark, who said these words in his letter: Cheryl's is a distinguished career spanning multiple professions and marked throughout by a generosity of spirit and attention. Currently, the director of Sands Crest Conference and Retreat Center in Wheeling and the bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of West Virginia, the Right Reverend W. Mishi I'm not sure how to pronounce that, Klusmeyer, has said regarding her work as a director at Sandcrest, "Where have you been all my life?" I thought that was remarkable. Her husband, Mark, who submitted Cheryl's nomination, also had this to say: looking over the attached supporting documents, I shouldn't be surprised that she's not been nominated, or I should be surprised that she's not been nominated before, except that one of the most telling marks of her long, distinguished, and diversified career has been a humility few achieve who are so much in the public eye. I thought that was incredibly sweet. But I have to say, that seems to be very much the case. She rarely puts herself forward, even as she has worked so long and so successfully in public service to her community, both professionally as an artist, author, librarian, and now Retreat Center director, but also has a volunteer in both, as a volunteer in both her parish and the general public. Her success across multiple professions is demonstrated by a multitude of accolades. A former librarian at the likes of Yale's School of Drama, Cheryl has published several children's books, including Christmas Morning, Scissors, Paper, Glue, and Red Are the Apples, which she co-authored with her husband. Venturing into the visual arts, Cheryl's paintings and prints have been featured in exhibits around Pittsburgh and Wheeling areas, and she was featured artist in Change 7, an online journal of literature and the arts. Her career honors include the Christine Burleson Award for Excellence at Bethany College, Outstanding New Librarian, West Virginia Library Association, and the West Virginia Literary Merit Award from the West Virginia Library Association. She graduated from Bethany with a degree in English and holds a Master of Library Science from the University of Pittsburgh and a certificate in Archives Management from Rutgers University. I could go on and on, clearly, but it is with heartfelt congratulations that I'm pleased to present the Distinguished Alumni Achievement Award to Cheryl Ryan Harshman, class of '74. Cheryl.
Thank you. And thank you to Roan, and thank you to the Alumni Council for this acknowledgement and this grand honor. I remember homecoming weekends as a student here, all those old people invading the campus. And now here I am. I'm the old lady visiting campus. How is that even possible? Being here transports me immediately back through the decades. Are you transported too? I'm 18 again, and there are 3 people at my table tonight that I've known since my freshman year. I've known them since I was 18, and they're really old. Generations of us flow through dear old Bethany, like the alluvial drift of the buffalo. Sometimes we bump up against new acquaintances and say, "You went to Bethany too?" And a couple of the ladies at my table I met long after I left Bethany, and we immediately felt the bonds of friendship because we shared this place. The shorthand that we all know and transmit as we acknowledge our Bethany years together. My first campus visit was when I was 1 year old. My father, Jack Ryan, wanted to show his wife and his newborn the place by the buffalo that meant so much to him, the college that grew him up and firmed his foundations. God, how he loved his years here. So I came, bundled in his arms, and surrounded by his love for Bethany. I never really stood a chance of going to any other college. Jack wasn't the only member of our family to come to Bethany. His Uncle Frank came here and stayed to raise his children and be the principal of the Bethany School way back in the 1930s. And a few of the other distant cousins can be traced back to Alexander Campbell's time. So yes, I'm a legacy Bethanian. My sister Jane came to Bethany and joined several of you, class of 1977, and she was the valedictorian of your class. She did much better than I did at Bethany. I wish she was here with me tonight, but she lives in Honolulu, and It's a little tricky to get here on time. Tonight, I see all of us gathered here, but I also see some angels among us. Integral to each of our individual homecomings this weekend are the memories of those we loved here long ago. Now, some of them couldn't make it this weekend, and there are others who are just no longer with us. But all of them helped us grow, and they remind us of what Pearl says, to love this place as she does. And we do. Can you still hear some of their voices? I can. J.U. Davis from the Education Department said, "The most important people in the school are the secretary and the janitor. They know everything." Yeah, they're words I still live by. Then there was the dragon lady of the Education Department, Maggie Matheson. Yeah. And she said, "You are going to grow up to be just like your parents. Unless you work really hard to change yourself." That was Maggie. Then there was John Taylor. He took me out of my narrow little world, and he plopped me down in England. And thus began a life of travel for me. Then there were Matt and Vista Craft. They weren't professors. Matt was the man with the keys. He had the keys to all the buildings at Bethany. Matt and Vista opened their home and their hearts to students, and they showed us love by their example, courtesy, and hospitality. And then there were the librarians, Larry and Nancy. They brought me to West Virginia for 4 decades of the most wonderful career and work imaginable, bringing books and the love of reading and learning to all manner of folks in library land. As a matter of fact, there are 2 women at my table that had not yet been to Bethany College when I met them in the children's room of the library on 5th Street. My greatest joy and sense of worth has been, as a children's librarian, watching pre-readers grow to be women like Keely and Rachel, who are smart and successful and are teaching and are playing it forward to the next generations. Thank you. There are some loved ones and some memories. These are the ones that I brought with me tonight, and I'll bet that you brought some with you too. And so there's the alluvial drift of the souls and the spirits here in Bethany that flows around us and through us tonight. What a joyous gift that we are all a part of that. Thanks again to the Alumni Council and to my husband Mark for this grand honor. And now, all hail to thee, bright alma mater, and dear old Bethany.
You know, as I was looking through all these nominees' accomplishments, I was thinking we could be here all night. So I know I've left out some things. However, we tried to highlight the most important pieces of your resumes. So the next Distinguished Alumni Award is being presented to Rick Jackson, Bethany, class of 1978. Rick, a communications major at Bethany. Gee, in those 70s days, we had a lot of communications majors who have become quite accomplished. He has had an incredibly storied career. He, tonight, is joined by his 92-year-old mom, Mrs. Jackson, who hasn't been back on Bethany's campus since graduation day. So welcome. He's also joined by his sister from Washington, D.C., and her husband, and his sister from North Carolina and her husband. So we're glad you're all here, family. An award-winning journalist with 40-plus years as an anchor and reporter for network and local television news, public television, and commercial and public radio news, he's been on the air in all 50 states and 40 foreign countries, interviewing dignitaries and world leaders, entertainment and sports luminaries, authors, writers, politicians such as Presidents Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, and covered several conventions. And he has a treasure trove of stories about the little guy, like most of us. Currently, Rick hosts Idea Stream's Sound of Ideas talk show, PBS's Ideas, and the children's show News Depth, viewed on WVIZ and online and used in curriculums of hundreds of school systems around the state. Jeff Seglin, who nominated Rick, made these comments about his friend. Prior to working for PBS, Rick worked for commercial television, including a stint as a host for CBS News, Up to the Minute program, from 1995 to 98. He has worked as a television reporter or anchor at stations in Wheeling, Memphis, Cleveland, Charlotte, Philadelphia. But it has been at PBS's WVIZ where Rick has firmly established himself over the past 17 years as an exemplary broadcaster who is committed to providing quality program to adults and children. Recognizing his accomplishments, the Ohio Broadcasting Hall of Fame has inducted Rick. That's incredible. His regular NPR broadcasts of The Sound of Ideas continue to be exceptional. So please join me in congratulating Rick for his stellar accomplishments. Rick.
Usually, I'm the one people don't want to follow to the podium, but Cheryl, my goodness, really, congratulations. There is a song we sing in church, How Firm a Foundation, written in the 1700s. Aside from the religious aspects of that hymn, that firm foundation really is what Bethany is all about. It supplied that to me and to thousands of others who walked through those gates and had classes in this building behind us. I heard a sermon last weekend that included a phrase I knew right away applied to this place, and it's in the same vein. The speaker said that hours and minutes well spent are the building blocks of a life well lived. The hours I spent here, under the tutelage of professors like Ruth Westlake, Dave Spazzali, the unforgettable Jim Carty Jr., were the foundation that took me further than perhaps I'd thought to go. When you're sitting in Old Main in a classroom, thinking about maybe television as a career, it's a pretty big pipe dream to say, I'm going to be an anchor at CBS News. I'm going to have so many Emmys, I have to buy extra furniture to hold them. And then just 17 years after walking out the doors here, I was walking in the doors with the CBS Broadcast Center in Manhattan, following my Bethanian friends, Bob Orr, a previous recipient of this award, and one of my best friends, Dean Daniels, a fellow Kappa Alpha when we were here. Both actually later wound up being guests on my show, as did CBS News stars Dan Rather, Steve Hartman, and Scott Pelley. Interesting side note, when the tragedy of TWA Flight 800 occurred July 1996, Dan Rather had already gone home for the night. It was left to me to break into the movie Robin Hood, for which I suffered greatly later, breaking into Robin Hood to tell America what had happened. I was joined a few minutes later by our aviation correspondent. Yes, Bob Orr, class of 75. For more than an hour, he and I were the only faces telling the story as best we could. Bethany College dominating the news scene that night. Bethany gave me the skills and the knowledge and the strength to get to a seat that lofty, as well as you heard, the stops that I went between here and there: Huntington, Wheeling, Memphis, Cleveland, Charlotte. But even before that, all glory must go to my 92-year-old mother, who's here with us tonight. Mom, love you so much. Thank you for being here. She was an educator by profession and in our home. She set a standard of hard work and education that made all of us know that failure was not and is not an option. She was the one who told me I shouldn't go to USC. I feel now like Bethany served me far better than Southern Cal ever could have. The year after I graduated, the Pirates won the World Series with a team theme song that included the phrase, "I got all my sisters with me." Tonight I do. I want to thank them for driving hundreds of miles to be here as well, and for the support over the years, calling at odd hours just to say, "Hey, I saw you on a national spot." Thank you. My wife Brenda and I, about to celebrate 40 years of marriage. It's been a ride, but she stuck with me on the moves up, more importantly, on the moves down, because this business can be so cruel. Get fired by a letter landing on your desk, got to do a live shot 30 minutes later. Love the best job you ever had, lose it to a corporate merger, bounce back. Jim Carty told us it wouldn't be easy, wouldn't be award-winning on a daily basis. Brenda got that. She supported me through the days right after the paychecks dried up. Thank you, honey. Our son is not here tonight. He went to New York to become an actor. Discovered the other side of the camera from where I stand. He's now a documentary producer and director. He's in the midst of pitching his next film, so he had to be there to fight for every dollar he could get. If any of you have a couple $100,000 extra, let me know. And my father isn't here either, at least not in body. We lost him this past February. I know he would have been so proud to set foot on this campus again, having you recognize me for the career that started here. Every morning when I was in middle school, for 2.5 years, he would drive me 2.5 miles to a small private school of distinction in Pittsburgh. I guess that was to be my path, small private schools of distinction. Fitting that he drove me here the first time I set foot on this campus. I miss him terribly. I want to come back here one day when we're not having a celebration, although the weather is beautiful, the food was good, thank you for that, but I do want to come back just on a regular day. And though I haven't met him, I promised Dr. Pat Sutherland I will speak to his class of aspiring journalists one day. At least I can do that, and it will get me back on campus one more time. Not long ago, I was talking with Philanthropic Gifts Director Liz Short and told her that even though I am a Pennsylvanian by birth, when you cross that state line into West Virginia, it feels like home. That's what Bethany did for me and does for me. Thank you to the selection committee for honoring me in this way. Thank you all for politely listening as I rambled. Congratulations to all the other alumni being awarded tonight. And thank you to the Bisons of old for providing this firm foundation.
It is my distinct honor to present our next award winner to distinguished alumni, Stephen Rubin, who graduated in 1970 with a degree in history and political science. Steve, who grew up in Pittsburgh, is a state bar certified specialist in family law, who specializes in complex high-asset cases. He is the managing director and principal of the Rubin Law Firm in San Francisco and has been recognized nationally and internationally as a family law lawyer of distinction for his impressive record of achieving results for his clients in court, both in trial and appeals, and in mediation or judicial settlement conferences. He has served as a judge pro tem in the family courts and as a settlement judge in resolving disputes in addition to his private practice. Receiving his JD at Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago Kent College of Law, and his LLM at Pepperdine University School of Law, he began his successful law career with the City of Chicago in 1973, where he served as Special Assistant Attorney General for the state of Illinois from 1984 to 1990. Then San Francisco beckoned, and in 1990, he moved to San Francisco, and in 97, Steve founded his law firm after serving as a partner with multiple well-known law firms in the city. Ken Beto, who nominated Mr. Rubin, said, "It is my pleasure to nominate this distinguished lawyer who has had an exemplary career and is what I'd call a consistent overachiever." His honors include Lawyer of National Distinction for Family Law, 2012 to the present, Top 10 Family Law Attorney in California, 2012 to the present, the Family Law Litigator of the Year with the Family Law Institute in 2019, and the Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago Kent College of Law Alumni Lifetime Professional Achievement Award in Family Law in 2014. That was a lot. Not to mention that since 2007, he has been recognized each and every year as a Northern California super lawyer for his work in family law. But what you don't know about Steve is that he also sings and plays piano in a band. Who knew, right? So it is with great pride and enthusiasm that I present Steve Rubin the Bethany College Alumni Award for Distinguished Alumni Achievement.
Well, it's good to be home. Coming to Bethany College was an extremely enriching experience. I went to Taylor Alderdice High School in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that had over 5,000 students in our student body. And back then, 1966, when I graduated, it was the top high school in the United States. There were Shaker Heights and New Trier. We were the most competitive high school in the country. 25 National Merit Finalists, 4 valedictorians. One of my best friends who went to Harvard, who may well be nominated for the Nobel Prize, invented the cataract lens when he was at Harvard Medical School. My other dear friend, another valedictorian, is the prestigious surgeon who developed the neonatal transplants at the University of Pittsburgh. So I was with many overachievers at Alderdice. And I got accepted to Bethany and many other schools, and I stepped on campus and I said, this is my home. This is my home. This is a place where I felt that I could really bloom and really take advantage of a small college of national distinction. I truly valued my education at Bethany. As a history and political science major, but in liberal arts it's so beautiful because you can take other courses. And I was already at 7 years old pianist and singer. I was number 2 tenor in the state chorus. Tom Beasy, who was a graduate with me, was number 1 in state chorus, where Robert Shaw directed us at Mount Lebanon High School. I still remember Tom Beasy and I performing here at Bethany College. And I also remember Bill Macy, because I don't know if you know Bill, but he and I were in several dramatic productions, and Bill was in San Jose a couple years ago promoting his film that actually won the award at the festival. It was called Crystal. And I had photographs of us together on stage at Steinman. Before I came down for the reception, I went back to the theater, a very special place. And David Judy was extraordinary as a dramatic director. And why I became a lawyer. Okay, I got accepted to the University of Chicago in a PhD program. And my mother called me, along with Mike Selman, who was the head of the history department at Carnegie Mellon, who I take at summer classes there. And they said, and they called me up, and I'm with Bethanians, Mike Bailey, graduate with us, Alpha Sig, and Kevin Rooney, and they said, why? You'll never get a job. You'll be driving a cab. You know, I've seen you on stage. Be a lawyer. Let the courtroom be your stage. Okay, why not? So I said, oh, what do I have to do? Because I didn't even take the law school exam. So Mike Bailey drives me down. Okay, independently of the fact that my uncle and my uncle were supposed to be there at the house. He's a very distinguished labor lawyer, was roommates with John F. Kennedy at Harvard. They were at their mountain resort in New Hampshire, and Mike and I were getting arrested. And I know it sounds crazy, but we finally convinced the police department that I was just here. I had a letter from my uncle, and they said, you know what? We're going to escort you down to a park. We're going to get you food. We're going to get you blankets, and we're going to make sure you take the LSAT at Boston U. And that was it. That was how I became a lawyer. That crazy, but the Bethany connection was there. And the Bethany connection was also there when we had, after we graduated, we had our road trip, and 7 years ago, Rick Hull, a dear friend, Alpha Sig, Logan, and I, and Fred Wilcox had our second road trip to Nepal, Bhutan, and to India. It was just fantastic. So following my governmental service as a prosecutor in Chicago, and I had some really great cases, and it was really a lot of fun being in court, and in the Attorney General's office, I realized my passion was family law. Why family law? Oh, it's divorce, it's crazy, these people are at each other's throats. But you know, a lawyer makes a difference. A lawyer can make all the difference in the world when people go through transitions. And I thought that was a powerful thing to do. It's not about money. It's about getting things right. And it's about being an advisor. It's being about a counselor. And to not do any harm to the family. Because the family is what it's all about. It is the most precious thing that we have. So family law was why I left Chicago and to come to the epicenter of law change in America, which is California, in case you didn't know. It all happens in California first. What's going on in California? Well, according to Mike Royko, who was a friend of mine, a very famous Pulitzer Prize-winning writer in Chicago, we haven't left the mainland yet. I mean, I think people were hoping that we would drift away somewhere towards Hawaii. But we haven't changed that much, but we've learned so much. And so I came to California because I was passionate about family law. I was involved in several major legislative reforms, revised the entire family code. It took us 6 years to do. But it was all about giving equal access and justice to families, and that was so important. Well, I couldn't have done that all without having a superb education at Bethany College. Great history professors, Carl Schweinfurt, Dale Porter. They were just fantastic professors. In fact, Carl told me, you're not coming back to Bethany your junior. I said, where am I going, Carl? I said, did I fail? I flunk out? He said, no. You're going to the University of Copenhagen. You're going there. And so I went to University of Copenhagen. I was fluent in German, and some of the classes were in German. And Professor Strobel and I became very good friends here. We would always speak German together, so that was great. So that was helpful. But what I learned about going to school overseas, and that was in 1968 and 1969, was we were in the middle of the Vietnam War, and America was in crisis. And everybody was complaining about, why you're having all these riots, you're having all these things. I said, we're a diversified country. We're not homogeneous. We have to live with each other. We have to accept each other. We have to learn from each other. You have a singular, homogeneous culture. It's pretty easy for you to get along. You don't have much diversity in your country. Now they're facing that. But I thought it was just a tremendous learning thing for me. Independently, I learned about international treaties. Back then, there was a discussion, and they passed the GATT Treaty, which is the International Government Tariffs and Trade. It was the beginning of the EU when I was in school. It was just an amazing process to have two professors who were the architects of creating the European Union, of my professors. And from my law practice, I became an expert in international treaties called the Hague Convention, when children are abducted to the United States and through my successful defense are returned to their homeland. For me, child abduction is the most egregious form of child abuse. And so I felt that I was doing God's work, because in Hebrew, the word tikkun alone means if you save one child, you save the world. And I'm also so appreciative of the great friendships I had at Bethany College. The generations of many of Bethanians. Logan Hassig, his mom went there, his dad went there. He became an incredible dear friend. Rick Hall is here. Bill Jarman is here. Bill Kiefer, Art Keys. Your friendships mean the world to me, and that only happens at Bethany College. I can only say at the end that it is such an honor to be back home, to be here, to be among Bethanians, and I am so proud to be one. And all I would say is, Godspeed, alma mater, and dear old Bethany. God bless you all.
Oh, did you? The final award of this evening is the Community Service Award, which is given periodically to recognize alumni who demonstrate significant leadership and service to their region or community. It thrills me to share that this award winner, Megan Tarbett, has a community service resume that literally reads like a Walgreens receipt. It's very long. Let me share a little of what Joyce DeFrancesco, who nominated Megan, had to say about her friend. I like to say that Megan Tarbett has public service encoded in her DNA. Sometimes when I talk to her about what she's doing that day or week, I am sure that she must have more hours in her day than the average person. She certainly packs more into her life than most of us. And so much of what she does is in service to others. She is smart, driven, resourceful, and dedicated. In fact, I don't think she knows what the word no means. Along with her job as director of the Putnam County Library System, a job that is by no means a Monday through Friday 9-to-5 position, she volunteers for so many causes. You can find her at a West Virginia Symphony fundraiser on one day, organizing to make sure everyone in her community was counted during the recent census, leading a Mardi Gras underwear drive for local women's shelters on the day after that. She is a member or in the leadership of groups like Leadership Putnam County, Leadership West Virginia, Generation Charleston, and many more. She's a networking machine. She leads the One Book, One Pride, Rainbow Pride of West Virginia Book Club and volunteers as a Democratic elector every day of every West Virginia election. Director of Putnam County Library System since 2015, Megan was selected as a 2020 West Virginia Wonder Woman. Did you hear that? The 2020 West Virginia Wonder Woman. being one of 50 women who are raising the bar in their communities, serving as beacons of light in their industries, and forcing change for the greater good. She is creating a better West Virginia with her can-do attitude and Mountain State spirit. Megan graduated with a degree in English language and literature and received her Master's of Library and Information Science from the University of Pittsburgh in 2009. And so it is my absolute pleasure to present Megan Tarbett, who is the epitome of community service with the Bethany College Alumni Award for Community Service.
Well, thank you all so much. Thank you, Joyce. I've forgotten some of those things. Because you finish one thing, you move on to the next, right? So thank you all so much for being here tonight. Thank you to the council for this recognition. It means so much to be up here with some of these just truly accomplished Bethanians, and I'm proud to be amongst you. As the gentleman before me just said, this is home. I toured almost every West Virginia college and university. I had another one in my mind. I went to tour it, didn't like it. This was my last one. It was May of my senior year. I was behind because it just wasn't right. Nothing had been right yet. I walk onto the campus of Bethany, and it was right. Thank you, Tower. I did not plan that. But it was home from the moment I stepped on campus. And I know a few of you mentioned failure was not an option, being incredibly driven, and I am. But one of the things Bethany taught me was that failure sometimes is an option because it's going to happen. It's what you do when you fail that Bethany excels at, that it taught me how to think and how to move on. To when you're in that hole, you pick yourself up and you get back on that windy Route 88 because your path forward is not straight, right? It is these windy roads. So you lose that job you love. You find another one. And if that one doesn't agree with you, you find another one. You find another one while you're working this one. I can't remember the last time I only had one job. And you keep moving forward, you keep moving forward. And that is what I took most from Bethany, is that desire to keep learning, to keep moving, and not what to think. Bethany doesn't teach you what to think. It teaches you how to think and how to adapt to what is coming at you. And that is the lesson I take the most from Bethany. And I appreciate it every day. And I would like to thank my mom, who is here, and my family who are here, and Joyce for the wonderful nomination, and another one of my sorority sisters. I would like to thank my father, who is no longer here. He did pass this summer. But for my parents, I did learn that whatever little you have, you share, and you don't make a big deal out of it. You just do it because it's what you're supposed to do. So they are public servants, long-standing, and I could only wish to emulate them in all of that they have done. And so any little thing I accomplish is because of them, and anyone who I have helped, they've helped me too. So, Bethany did teach me, to treat everyone with the grace that I hope they treat me. So thank you, Bethany. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, my family. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Jesse. And thank you to my Bethany family. So thank you all.
Because last year's award ceremony was virtual due to COVID, I did want to take just a minute to mention our award winners from last year, if I can find the page. The Robert A. Sandercox Award went which is the award given only on the rare occasion to the select few who demonstrate a level of commitment to Bethany and the educational community that is not easily rivaled, went to Scarlett Foster, class of 79. The Distinguished Service to Alma Mater Award, which is the award that is the college's highest honor for alumni involvement, volunteer service, and support of Bethany, went to John Somsky, class of 71. The Alumni Achievement Award went to Mark Beto, class of 87. And the Outstanding Community Service Award went to the Reverend Amos Acree, class of 1969. This concludes our alumni presentation for this evening, but will you please all join me in giving all our recipients one more great round of applause. And I want to thank each of our award recipients for sharing your knowledge, your dedication, your accomplishments, and service to both Bethany and the world at large. How proud we are of your accomplishments and how grateful we are for your commitment and your commitment to Bethany. On behalf of the entire Alumni Association Board of Directors, we thank you for joining us this evening to celebrate these 4 accomplished and distinguished award recipients. I hope you enjoy the rest of your homecoming weekend and safe travels home, wherever that may be.